Today, Washington Senator Patty Murray spoke out against the Trump administration's cuts to the USDA.
Stocking up on canned stuff for the inevitable, the shelves are probably going to be empty. And I feel like I'm being dramatic about it, but it just genuinely scares me so much, and I feel like I'm doomsday prepping. I've already started packing a go bag just on the off chance I'm going to need it. I don't want it to come to that, but what if it does? I need to be prepared. And I certainly can't tell my parents because they're going to tell me I'm being fucking crazy. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to that, but at least I'll be prepared.
Food is rapidly becoming a luxury in supermarkets, and the most alarming part is no one dares to warn you about it. Have you ever wondered why prices keep rising, yet your shopping basket keeps getting lighter? Don't be so quick to assume it's just a temporary shortage. In truth, it's the sign of a looming food crisis that's quietly spreading, even to wealthy cities you'd never expect. Meat is gone. Eggs are gone. Even toilet paper has vanished. Items we once took for granted as everyday essentials are slowly disappearing from store shelves. So, why are cities that once stood as symbols of prosperity and stability now falling into this state? What's really going on? To find the answer, join me as we uncover the 10 cities facing the most severe food crises in the nation. And the most important question is your city on that list? If you don't want to be caught off guard by this growing disaster, don't miss the critical information we're about to reveal. New York, the city that never sleeps, but over 1.4 million are sleeping hungry. New York, the city that never sleeps, is known for its relentless energy and boundless opportunities. But behind the glittering facade, a silent food crisis is erupting, especially for elderly residents living alone. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2023, 1.4 million New Yorkers, about 17% of the population, are facing food insecurity. This figure has reached its highest point in the past 2 decades, and for retirees or those on fixed incomes, the situation is dire. In Manhattan, where the cost of living is sky high, a single meal at a popular restaurant can exceed $100. Meanwhile, many residents survive on just $110 a month for food. A 69-year-old retiree from Highland Park told ABC News, "I no longer have the strength to travel far or compare prices between supermarkets like I used to. Every grocery trip feels like solving a high school math problem." This is the painful reality for elderly people who can no longer move around and lack assistance to access basic food. According to a report from City Harvest, over the past 2 years, 100 small food stores in New York have shut down due to rising operating costs. As a result, poorer areas like the Bronx, Queens, and North Brooklyn have become food deserts, places where residents must walk 10 to 20 blocks just to find fresh vegetables or milk. The crisis is further exacerbated by skyrocketing prices. Egg prices have surged by 27%, milk by 18%, and beef by nearly 30% over the past year, according to the New York Times. For people on fixed incomes, such as retirees, these increases make it nearly impossible to maintain a balanced diet, forcing them to choose between medication and meals. Rebecca Fuentes, CEO of the charity organization City Harvest, told NBC News, "We've never seen food insecurity at this level, not even in New York, a city with the highest budget and one of the strongest relief systems in the country." Still, the city's food banks cannot keep up with the demand. According to the USDA, 34% of New York households rely on charitable organizations just to have a complete meal. This shortage isn't limited to low-income neighborhoods. It's affecting the middle class, who are struggling to balance soaring living expenses with stagnant wages. The American dream of a life with food security and abundance is slipping away. As Columbia University economist Dr. Jennifer Liu put it, when a city like New York, a symbol of prosperity, can no longer guarantee its residents a full meal, it signals that the crisis is expanding, and other places may be next. The dream of a stable, well-fed life is slowly fading in New York. And if this is happening in a city with vast resources and a strong support network, then smaller cities with fewer assets may soon face far more severe consequences. But New York isn't the worst-case scenario yet. Because on the other side of the country, a city once seen as the embodiment of luxury, cinema, and the American dream is now seeing its residents take 2 buses just to buy a carton of milk. Los Angeles, when the American dream turns into a nightmare. Los Angeles, a city long viewed as a symbol of prosperity and luxury living, is no longer what it used to be. The supermarket near your home is no longer a reliable place to pick up daily essentials. Shelves are increasingly empty, and prices are spiraling out of control. Food has become a luxury item. You might be shocked to learn that a gallon of milk now costs $7, nearly double what it was just a few years ago. But what's even more alarming isn't the price. It's the question of where to buy it. The supermarkets that once served as lifelines for working-class residents are disappearing, while food banks are operating beyond capacity to meet overwhelming demand. Discount chains like 99 Cents Only and Grocery Outlet have shut down in large numbers, especially in neighborhoods like Boyle Heights and South LA, where food scarcity is reaching critical levels. The image many once held of Los Angeles, the city of dreams, is quickly fading. Elderly residents living on pensions or social support now face daily struggles to access basic nutrition. They can no longer step out and shop with ease. One 78-year-old woman from Highland Park shared, "I used to be able to walk to the store and get everything I needed. Now I have to take 2 buses, sometimes just for a carton of milk." And it's not just the elderly. Middle-class families are watching their dream of a comfortable life slip away. Dining out is off the table. Organic food is out of reach. Many families are turning to canned goods, instant noodles, or cheap fast food, options that may harm their health but are often the only ones they can afford. The frustration isn't simply about a lack of money, it's about the lack of choice. Healthy meals and safe, quality food have become luxuries. And this isn't limited to impoverished areas. It's creeping into wealthy neighborhoods, into cities once seen as untouchable strongholds of affluence and stability. So here's the pressing question. If this is happening in Los Angeles, the so-called capital of abundance, then where is safe? Stay with us as we head next to Chicago, a city once known for its stability, that is now confronting a food crisis no one saw coming. Chicago, a thriving city, facing a silent food crisis. Chicago, once hailed as the heart of the Midwest, is now facing a painful paradox. Despite being one of the largest and most developed cities in the United States, many of its residents are struggling just to put food on the table. According to a 2023 report from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, more than 1/5 of Chicago's population now lives in food-insecure conditions. Areas without grocery stores, fresh produce markets, or any accessible dining options within walking distance. Neighborhoods like Englewood, Austin, and West Garfield Park have seen food access hardship rise by over 40% in just 2 years. Once bustling streets that symbolized prosperity have now become survival zones. Food prices in Chicago have surged by 13.2% in the past year alone, with essentials like beef, milk, and grains nearly doubling in cost since the pre-pandemic period. The issue isn't a lack of supply. It's inflation, rising transportation costs, and ongoing labor shortages that are forcing stores to either raise prices or limit inventory. These factors have pushed middle-class families and elderly residents into deeper hardship than ever before. A former supermarket cashier told NBC News in an emotional interview, "I never thought I'd need to rely on a food bank, but last month I had no choice. I'm not lazy, I just ran out of options." Especially in the city's western neighborhoods, home to many elderly and immigrant residents, access is more than just a financial issue. Without cars, many struggle to reach grocery stores, can't navigate online ordering systems, or simply can't afford delivery fees. Food access here is entangled with mobility and digital literacy, challenges that hit hardest for the aging and underserved. The Chicago Food Sovereignty Coalition, a nonprofit organization, warns that if this trend continues, the city could face a full-scale silent food crisis. This isn't a city-wide food shortage. It's a crisis of inequitable distribution. Affluent, central neighborhoods remain well-stocked, while low-income and outlying areas suffer from severe scarcity. Chicago, once the capital of America's food processing industry, is now failing to secure even the most basic meals for its own people. Middle-class households are also scaling back. A middle-aged resident from South Chicago shared, "We can't afford to eat out on weekends anymore. My whole family has switched to canned goods, instant noodles, or fast food. It's not a choice, it's survival." And here's the big question. If Chicago, with its advanced transportation network, dense web of social organizations, and status as the Midwest's logistics hub, can't guarantee consistent meals for its residents, then which city will be next? Houston, America's fastest-growing city, faces a quiet food crisis. Houston, one of the fastest-growing cities in the United States, is now grappling with a harsh reality few would have expected. A booming economy does not guarantee food security for its residents. According to data from Feeding Texas, over 17% of households in Houston currently lack sufficient daily nutrition, and the situation is even worse in low-income neighborhoods like Kashmere Gardens and Sunnyside. The food shortage is not merely a supply issue, it's a crisis of distribution imbalance. While the city showcases gleaming shopping centers and rising skyscrapers, a significant portion of its population is struggling just to put together a nutritious meal. Prices for basic necessities like milk, eggs, and fresh vegetables have risen by as much as 14% over the past year, all while the overall cost of living continues to climb. Meanwhile, convenience stores and discount chains, especially in underserved areas, offer mostly ultra-processed snacks and junk food with little to no fresh produce or protein options. Clear evidence of this disparity can be found in neighborhoods like the Fifth Ward, Gulfton, and South Park. These communities, largely composed of low-income families, are surrounded by corner stores stocked with unhealthy, low-quality food. Fresh greens, lean meats, virtually non-existent. This growing nutritional void is becoming a public health emergency. But this is more than just a matter of nutrition. It's also one of dignity and mental well-being. Recent surveys show that 30% of Houston residents are unsure if they'll have enough food by the weekend. Even more troubling, over 40% of them are former middle-class families, people who never imagined they'd be lining up at food banks for free groceries. The Houston Chronicle has reported extensively on this shift, highlighting the disconnect between the city's economic boom and the deepening food insecurity in its working-class neighborhoods. This is not a supply chain problem. It's a crisis of trust, a loss of faith in the food distribution system, in the belief that hard work guarantees stability, and in the promise that a thriving economy can ensure one full meal for every family. That faith is eroding fast. If Houston, the city of space exploration and energy dominance, can no longer feed its own people, then what city can possibly claim immunity from this silent wave of hunger spreading across America? And the most urgent question of all, is your city next? Prepare yourself, because when the system shifts, no one sees it coming. And if you think everything is still stable, just look toward Detroit, a city once hailed as the pride of American industry, now facing a terrifying new set of challenges no one thought possible. Detroit, the city of collapse. Detroit, once the proud symbol of America's industrial power, is now battling a slow-burning food crisis few ever imagined. This was the city that once fed an entire nation through its thriving auto industry. But when the factories shut down, the jobs vanished and the retailers pulled out. Detroit didn't just lose its workforce, it lost its ability to feed itself. According to the Detroit Food Policy Council, over 70% of the city's residents now live in what are classified as food deserts. That means they have no reasonable access to supermarkets or stores that sell fresh food. The crisis is especially severe in areas like Dexter-Linwood and Brightmoor, where residents must walk miles just to buy a single bag of fresh groceries. But the problem isn't just the distance, it's the prices. A gallon of milk in downtown Detroit now costs $6, while basic chicken can reach $10, double what it was just a few years ago. Meanwhile, the average household income in Detroit hovers around $34,000 a year, making grocery shopping a financial strain for countless families. An elderly woman living in Dexter-Linwood told the Detroit Free Press that she skips lunch 3 times a week because her retirement check can't cover both food and medication. "I'm not asking for luxury meals, just a decent plate. But even that feels out of reach now," she said, her eyes filled with worry. Stories like hers aren't rare in Detroit, where simply making it through the day has become a brutal fight for survival. Meanwhile, relief organizations like Gleaner's Community Food Bank, the largest in Detroit, are being overwhelmed by a skyrocketing demand. In 2024 alone, food requests surged by over 58%, yet their funding hasn't kept pace. As a result, they've been forced to reduce rations and extend distribution intervals. According to Gleaner's CEO Gail Cunningham, the surge in need can't be met with the resources we have. "We're doing all we can, but if this continues, we won't be able to serve everyone in time." Detroit, once the beating heart of America's auto and steel industries, is now a city where even if you have money, you still may not find enough food to fill a shopping cart. It's not just a material crisis, it's a crisis of belief. A belief that hard work guarantees stability. A belief that the American dream promises fairness, nourishment, and a chance to provide for your family. That belief is breaking. So if a city with a vast transportation network, a legendary auto industry, and active charitable institutions still can't guarantee food security for its people, what hope is there for the rest? Can other cities truly avoid the silent wave of hunger creeping across the nation? Next, we turn to Atlanta, a city once called the City of Opportunity, now facing challenges and shortages few thought possible. Atlanta, when the City of Opportunity becomes a place of hardship and scarcity. Atlanta, the economic heartbeat of the American South, was once hailed as the City of Opportunity, especially for working-class communities and people of color. But today, its residents are facing a sobering reality. Shopping carts are emptier, while the daily struggle to afford food grows heavier. According to the Atlanta Community Food Bank, 1 in every 8 people in the metro area is uncertain whether they'll have enough food to make it through the coming week. This isn't due to a lack of jobs, it's because wages can't keep up with the soaring cost of living. A recent survey by the U.S. Census Bureau found that food insecurity in Atlanta has surged, with over 700,000 people, roughly 1/5 of the population, struggling to secure enough to eat. That rate is more than double the national average, a deeply troubling sign of a food crisis in full motion. Food prices in Atlanta have jumped 8% in the past year, with essentials like vegetables, meat, and dairy among the hardest hit. From baby formula to everyday meals, everything costs more, forcing families to make painful decisions, save money or protect their health. Single-parent households and the elderly are among the most affected. A single mother in South DeKalb shared, "Every week I take 2 buses just to get to a grocery store. But when I get there, I can't afford much. Fresh produce is just too expensive. That's why I've had to rely on packaged food, even though I know it's not nutritious." The situation is even more dire in suburban areas, where grocery stores and major supermarkets are rapidly disappearing. Neighborhoods like Fulton, West End, and Bankhead have no supermarkets, no fresh food, and no stores carrying essential household items. A report from the nonprofit Feeding Georgia found that over 40% of residents in these zones face food insecurity. These underserved communities aren't just losing access to fresh food, they're racing against time to survive each day. Meanwhile, downtown Atlanta buzzes with upscale coffee shops, fine dining restaurants, and high-end boutiques. But just a few miles away in working-class neighborhoods, the contrast is staggering. A stark divide has emerged between areas of plenty and zones of scarcity, where residents are fighting for their next meal. It leaves many in Atlanta asking, "I did everything right. I work, I save, I live simply. So why can't I provide a decent meal for my family?" That's the deepest fear. The food crisis in Atlanta isn't a protest. It's not a riot. It's a quiet desperation, heard in the sighs of people crossing off basic groceries from their shopping lists because they simply can't afford them. This isn't just the story of one city. It's a global issue. Food insecurity is no longer a distant fear. It's a growing threat, one that you and your family could face at any moment. Stay alert before it's too late. Phoenix, the silent food crisis. Phoenix, a city known for its year-round sunshine and rapid growth, is now facing a serious and growing problem: food insecurity. According to the Arizona Food Bank Network, food insecurity in Phoenix has surged by 39% in just the past 18 months, hitting low-income groups, seniors, and families earning under $60,000 per year the hardest. In 2024, food prices in Phoenix skyrocketed. Essential items like milk, eggs, and beef rose between 20% and 35%. The city's rapid expansion has outpaced its infrastructure, especially in neighborhoods like Maryvale and South Phoenix, where grocery store shelves are often empty, and access to fresh food is becoming increasingly distant. For those without cars, particularly the elderly, the burden is even greater. One major concern is that many food banks in Maricopa County are reporting a 52% increase in demand, but are unable to meet it. Rising transportation costs, driven by high fuel prices and a shortage of delivery drivers, are further pushing up food prices and straining distribution. With inflation and the cost of living climbing steadily, residents of Phoenix are facing a grim reality. Food is turning into a luxury. Those on fixed incomes, especially retirees, are now forced to choose between groceries and medication, between food and clothing. Phoenix was once a symbol of prosperity in the American West. But today, even middle-class families are confronting the fear of not having enough to eat. And if a major city like Phoenix can no longer ensure its residents have access to basic food, then can any city truly escape the grip of this unfolding food crisis? Philadelphia, a historic city on the brink of a silent food crisis. Philadelphia, where the Declaration of Independence was signed, once stood as a symbol of freedom, opportunity, and belief in a brighter future. But today, in the heart of this historic city, thousands of working-class families are facing a painful reality, struggling to put enough food on the table each day. Food prices in Philadelphia have risen by an average of 10.7% over the past year. But this isn't just a statistic. It's a daily hardship for many households. Essentials like milk, eggs, vegetables, and chicken have become increasingly unaffordable. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, unemployment remains high in neighborhoods like North Philly and Kensington, while household incomes continue to lag far behind the soaring cost of living. A study from the University of Pennsylvania revealed a sharp contrast across the city. While a meal in an upscale area may cost just a few dollars, families in low-income neighborhoods must stretch every penny. A single mother shared, "Every time I go to the grocery store, I have to ask myself, what can I leave out of the cart today so I can still afford food by the weekend?" But the problem isn't just prices. Major supermarket chains are pulling out of poor areas entirely. As a result, many residents now rely on convenience stores, where food prices are 15 to 30% higher than at traditional supermarkets. These stores rarely offer fresh produce or healthy options, only packaged goods, creating long-term health risks for already vulnerable communities. The Philadelphia Food Bank Network has reported a 34% increase in food assistance requests over the past 2 years. Despite the tireless efforts of charities and volunteers, the reality on the ground remains bleak. Perhaps most alarming, a recent survey by Temple University found that food insecurity is severely impacting children's health and academic performance. Kids in food-insecure households are arriving at school hungry, many of them chronically undernourished, which directly affects their ability to concentrate, learn, and grow. So here's the question. When even full-time workers can't meet their family's most basic nutritional needs, what hope is there that any American city can withstand this silent food crisis? Baltimore, a city losing faith in the American dream. Baltimore, once one of America's most historic cities, is now witnessing a deeply alarming collapse in food security. Food banks that once stood strong are now forced to ration supplies and require pre-registration, simply because demand has far outpaced their ability to provide. The ongoing food shortage isn't just about lack of supply, it's about unjust distribution. According to the Baltimore Sun, over 30% of residents in Baltimore are currently facing food insecurity, with sharp increases in low-income neighborhoods like West Baltimore and Sandtown, Winchester. A study by Feeding America revealed that poverty in the city has surged by 20% over the past 5 years, leaving working-class families in a daily battle to secure a full meal. What's most disturbing is this. In the wealthiest nation on earth, a basic meal has become a luxury. When food is no longer an easy choice, but a fight for survival, the question becomes unavoidable. If even in Baltimore, once considered the heart of America's working class, this crisis persists, then where is safe for the poor? San Antonio. When food becomes a luxury, life becomes even harder. San Antonio, a city known for its vibrant Texas culture and deep Latino heritage, is now facing a bitter truth. Thousands of hardworking families can no longer afford basic groceries, even while working full-time jobs. Since early 2025, food prices in the city have surged by an average of 14%, with meat, eggs, and vegetables seeing the steepest increases. Major retailers like H-E-B, once a lifeline for low-income communities, have begun closing multiple locations in outer neighborhoods, leaving behind vast food deserts where thousands now struggle to access fresh produce and nutritious options. Over 40% of Latino families in San Antonio are now experiencing food affordability challenges. These households, especially those relying on manual labor jobs, have been forced to cut back on meals or rely heavily on food banks just to get by. One woman shared, "Food has become something I have to choose between, medicine or a meal." This crisis is no longer limited to the poor. Even middle-class families, once able to comfortably put food on the table, are now feeling the pressure. But food insecurity isn't just San Antonio's problem. Across America, families are seeing the same story unfold: empty shelves, rising prices, and fewer choices. According to the San Antonio Food Bank, nearly 300,000 residents are now facing food insecurity, the highest figure in over a decade. The wealth gap has never been more visible, leaving working-class Americans unable to secure even a basic, healthy meal. No one expected a fast-growing city like San Antonio to fall short in feeding its people. And when even the middle class begins to worry about dinner, this isn't just a citywide issue, it's a national alarm bell. We've walked you through a crisis that's quietly reshaping life for millions across the country. Don't stay silent. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to keep exploring real, hard-hitting stories about American life in times of crisis, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for staying with us. Let's speak up and make a difference.